Hello everyone, I'm Thomas.
And I'm Kizzy.
And we are the Crawford Chronicles. Now before we get started tonight, we would love for you guys to like, subscribe, and comment on this video at the very end because we're going to be having several different topics coming at you guys on a weekly basis. Now tonight, our topic of discussion is sustaining a healthy and solid marriage after being single. So this is going to be a topic that you guys need to tune in because I think we all could learn something from this topic. So first, I would like to get started and just say that, of course, you guys know that my wife and I have been married for 16 years. Well, 14 years. We've been together for 16 years.
Yes.
And we've been married for 14 years.
Yes.
Now, right now we have a very successful and happy marriage, but it did not come easy. It came with a lot of sacrifices, mainly on my end.
Really?
Mainly on my end.
Okay.
Because listen, I'm an alpha male by trade. Mm-hmm. I'm just an alpha male. It's in my DNA. I'm an alpha male, and also I'm OCD. And I've just always been a leader. I've always liked to march by my own beat. Mm-hmm. And so marriage, people think, I like you, I love you. Let's just go get married. Let's go get married. And like we see on the movies, you just go live happily ever after. Now, if you notice in the movies when it's happily ever after, the credits start coming down, right?
The show's over.
The show's over, the credits start coming down, and in our mind, we just figure, okay, it was just so beautiful. I just love the way he treated her. Mm-hmm. I just love the way she loved him. And that's only in the movies, and that's only on TV. We're going to give you guys the real about being married and trying your best to stay happily married, because anybody can get married. Mm-hmm. We all know anybody can get married, but not everyone you will see or hear about is happily married. So we're going to share a few tidbits with you guys on how we were able to sustain a solid marriage for the past 14 years. So I would like for my wife to start this conversation off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because she, listen, I didn't really have that many issues coming into the marriage. So I want to hear from her. What's her take? And what does she feel?
You mean issues? What issues what does that mean? You didn't have many issues.
I didn't look for a lot of changes. Like, when you meet someone, let me just keep it real. Women like to change guys. Women love to change men. You guys like the aesthetics. Y'all like that we work hard. You guys like that we are providers. Okay. You even like that we're funny. But then at the same time, there's a lot of things about us men that you guys have issues with.
Okay.
So what was the most challenging issue with you as far as like looking at things long term in the marriage? What was the issue with you? Okay,
so he's an alpha male, but I'm an alpha female. So prior to us being together, I was an independent, strong person that felt like I got to make a lot of decisions. And so once you get married and you got someone who's similar to you, you kind of have to be like, pick your battles. And so I had to pick my battles a lot. But I remember when I told my grandmother after I met him, I told my grandmother, I said, I always prayed to find a man who would be able to tell me to sit down, and they got it. But once you get that person that tells you to sit down, I got it.
It's a nerd.
You don't know how to deal with it because you used to having it. And so that was an adjustment for me, learning how to let him lead and make decisions, and me be okay with not making the decision. So I think that was one of my hardest things, because we as women, and like I said, we have talked about it once before, women are just raised to be independent and strong and what's the word, servant or being submissive is a bad,
which I think
connotation.
now the word submissive is looked down as a negative.
It does,
because for some odd reason the world has switched over to women feeling like being submissive is them being less of who they are.
Right. And the man being dominant and being able to make all the rules, and they have no say so. And I don't necessarily think that that's the way it should be. I think it should be a compromise, give and take. But I do feel like we as women sometimes have to let you guys lead, because I know many of times, guys, my husband has told me things and I give him every reason why he's wrong. And then it comes back and he's right. And I just want to just scream, because now he can say, I told you so. So sometimes men can see things that we as women can't see.
You know, the thing about it, it's not about us saying, it's not about me saying I told you so.
Right.
It's more about me being able to trust that you have trusted me.
Right.
Because I think the biggest thing for a lot of guys is, I think the number, if you get a poll and you poll most men say the number one thing that they look for is trust and loyalty. Mm-hmm. And so that runs big with guys. So even if we don't have a lot of money, even if we're just getting started and whatever endeavors that we are, I think a lot of times that we have issues when our spouse, because we just feel like as a man, you automatically should think that, you automatically should believe in our vision.
Right. And a lot of times we don't. And not even the vision per se in regards to business or the finances, but maybe even just, I don't know, something simple that you would say, be careful to do, or you may shouldn't do that, and I would do it anyway, trying to prove that he was not right, and then find out he was right, and it's just so annoying. So that even that little stuff like that. Yeah,
basically what she's trying to what she's beating around the bush at, guys, is she talking about these friends.
Not even friends. Well, I mean, you could friends included, but anything, because we're so opposite. Because he's more of a glass half empty, and I'm more of a glass half full. And so sometimes I think that he is more negative per se than me, so I'm always like, no, it's not like that, oh, that's okay, it's gonna be all right. And then it's like, no, he just has a little more wisdom sometimes with certain things. And so I have learned to trust his instincts more over the years, and that came with time.
It did. And I think the number one thing with sustaining a healthy marriage is being able to have trust in your partner's discernments. Okay. I know it's been several instances where we've been in a situation where I didn't feel strongly about, but my wife did. And for the sake of our marriage and the sake of her happiness, I would just sit back and just let things pretty much work themselves out. When you say that I'm a glass half full guy, I don't look at it as a glass half full. I look more of it as a realist. And I think when you look at things from a realistic point of view, it's not going to always be as rosy as we would like for things to be. Right. And also, too, as a man, I think our biggest concern is our family is something that we hold, our way of life. Our family, that's something that we hold very close to us, and that's something that we want to protect by all means. So I understand that you say I can look at things glass half empty, but most of the time is I'm just looking at everything from a point of view of protecting my wife and protecting my family.
Yeah, you're right. So I think that was just a struggle for me. But two, I think learning to feel comfortable being vulnerable with each other.
Yeah.
I think that right there took time. And I think that's important in a marriage because I want to be able to make mistakes and be able to come to you and tell you that I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And you don't beat me upside the head with, I told you. It's more like, okay, babe, I understand. This is what happened. Sometimes we need that compassion, even though we made a mistake. And I think sometimes with couples, they don't feel comfortable in being vulnerable with their spouse. And so that's how easily they can keep secrets.
Exactly. And the thing I've learned over the years, instead of saying, I told you so, or I knew that was going to happen, I learned to kind of like just pipe down and just be more understanding of the situation and be more of a shoulder for her to lean on because in those times, I think it's not about me saying I was right. It's about you understanding like it's a different approach that you could have had or we both could have into that situation. So we don't be in these, we don't have that continuation of these events occurring again. Like we both learn from it. And I think next time that we're in that situation, I think it's almost like we should have a different approach about it. Because when you're married, it's not like you have all the answers. And just because you're at a certain age, it doesn't mean that you know more than the next guy. Each situation that occurs is an opportunity for us to both learn from it.
Right.
And that's something that people, I think we need to all do. We need to learn from each situation and not have this air about us like, I was right, you was wrong. I told you that was going to happen. Now look at you.
Yeah.
Now I think it should be more of let's both I think the number one thing we need to be as a spouse and a significant other is to be that person that we can lean on, because I learned that if you come at your spouse too many times where I told you so, when those type of events occur, they don't really feel comfortable.
Right.
Because no one wants to have a finger pointing at them.
Right. And on that note, we don't want to say I told you so, but then you can't repeatedly do the same thing.
Yeah.
So people don't want to hear I'm sorry repeatedly too. So again, like you said, we have to learn from each situation so that we won't repeat the situation.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely both sides of it. People need to be able to trust their spouse enough to talk to them, and their spouse need to trust them enough to learn from what they did the first time and not have to say I'm sorry again.
Exactly. So. Yeah, you're very right about that. But I do think trust comes with, I think you have the courtship, you have the love, all of that is all fine and dandy, but the trust part, it comes with time.
Yeah.
It comes with time. And I've learned as, hard-headed as I used to be and as tunnel vision that I used to be, I've learned to just, for me, it's not about proving I'm right. It's about understanding what my wife is going through. Yeah. I think that's big for me, because I realize you get more with honey than you do with anything else.
True. So next subject.
Next subject is what?
We need to understand that your spouse needs to be able to talk to you and discuss their day, discuss what's going on in their lives. Because if they don't feel like they can discuss it with their spouse, that causes issues. And so I think sometimes as spouses, everybody get caught up in their own lives and they don't take the time out to be a listening ear. And I think that is something too that marriages have to definitely understand, that you have to be a sounding board. Because like for you and I, it's things that we talk about that we won't tell anybody else. Yeah. So if we don't tell each other, who can we tell?
Who can we talk to?
Right.
And with you having a business and myself having a business,
right,
I think a lot of times that we get so caught up into what we're doing to be a provider that we forget to just drop our cell phones, put down that computer tablet, and just let everything stop for that moment and be a listening board for your spouse.
Yeah.
And that's something I learned over the years. When my wife come in the room, she talks to me, I put my cell phone down, I give her my undivided attention.
That's still a work in progress.
What do you mean?
I was talking to you earlier and you were still on your phone.
That was my mama.
Okay.
That was my mama.
But overall you try to do that. But from time to time you still do it. But we do have to work. That's something that we just continue to got to work on.
No one is perfect,
Right.
but over time, the vast majority of the time when you come into the room, I put my cell phone down. When we're out on a date, I put my cell phone in my
Very
pocket.
good about that.
When we're at an event, I don't care if we're in the car, I put my cell phone in my pocket. It's all about my wife, because come Monday, I'm going to have Monday at 8 o'clock. It's going to be so many issues that come across that's going to take me away from my marriage mentally, because I have to put out so many fires. When I'm with my wife, it's about enjoying my wife and savoring the moment.
Yeah.
Because that's what we all work hard for. We all work hard to have those moments that we can spend with each other.
Right. But we also, you remember we went to the couples workshop?
Yeah.
Remember with that? And that was really enlightening. And I think we learned some things, even though we don't do them all the time. But they taught us that when you have a conversation, like for instance, you're talking to me and you say, Kizzy, you made me feel like this when you did this. That's how we're supposed to talk to each other. And I'm supposed to reiterate that by saying, so what I understand you saying is, I made you feel like this when I did this. So that makes both sides understand that you're totally listening and you understand exactly what they're saying. So if by chance I did not understand it correctly, and once I said it, you can say, no, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very good way of communicating.
It is. It's a very good way.
Yeah, because it really gets to the point. Because it's so many times, for instance, y'all, it's so many times a guy could be upset about work and he's acting funny towards you. He went to bed early. He's not talking to you. And you thinking, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done? Did I piss him off? Did I say something? And his mind is totally about work or a football game or something else.
Just needing that escape.
Anything. You know? But we have a tendency to think when people act differently, then it's all because of something we did.
Yeah.
But when you talk about it and have the conversation, then you realize you was upset for nothing, thinking you about to get a divorce and your husband over there mad about a football game. I think that's easily how things happen though, because people don't communicate and have the conversation.
And I think the number one thing you said is, I think we should all trust like that our partner, no matter what they're going through, that they feel comfortable coming to us and displaying, their feelings to us.
Right.
And so if my wife is upset, I feel like if she's not talking to me about it, it's not about me. And that's something that took years, right? Because even though you're one, you're still two individuals with two different lives going on.
Right.
You're two different individuals. You have your business, you have your family. I have my business and I have my family. And it's like we're trying to make all of this work. So it's things that occur that maybe at that time I'm not, I haven't gathered my thoughts so that I can come to you. Mm-hmm. And articulate those thoughts. So sometimes it's just, no matter what, you just need that escape. Mm-hmm. So you can either just going to sleep early or going outside on the patio or going for a long walk. So you have those moments by yourself so you can articulate your thoughts with your partner, because you don't ever want to come off as someone who's like just so upset that now you on the defense mode. Right. Because now you feel like you have to defend yourself when it's just something as simple as I was having issues that had nothing to do with the household.
Right. So I think we just have to, like you said, give each other enough time and enough space to know that you'll come back and have the conversation. So, yeah. Okay, so that's 2 or 3 topics out the way.
That's enough. That's enough.
No, I think, the main one is, like you said at the beginning, people think that once you get married, it's
all over.
Everybody's going to be happy all the
just
time.
Ride off into the sunset.
But like I say about real estate, like passing the test is the easy part. Real estate is the hard part. It's just like marriage. Getting married is the easy part. So once you do that, you've done the easy part. Now the hard work comes in.
Exactly. Yeah, you're so true. And I think the number one thing is if you are, a couple and you have goals, I think your spouse deserves more than you to just say, I'm working, I'm just grinding, I'm just trying to get us to another level. I'm just trying to make sure I take care of us. You need to sit down. As soon as you have a business plan, you need to sit down with your spouse and communicate that with your spouse. I know the biggest mistake I made is when my wife and I got married. When she met me, I was just a grinder. I was working, 18, 20 hours a day. And so when we got married, I felt like she just knew that's what it was. I'm gonna work. In my mind, I had a vision for my family, but the mistake I made was I wasn't communicating that with my family. I was just going out working and thinking that they're supposed to understand, which everything was new to us. The marriage was new, and we knew each other, but we didn't know all the emotions that comes with dealing with each other.
Right, because we were totally different people. And so coming into a household and a blended family at that, because we both brought kids into the marriage, I think it was just an adjustment period in which all marriages are. When you bring 2 individual people together along with kids, it's got to be an adjustment period.
Yeah.
And so first couple of years was an adjustment period.
It was a big adjustment period. And looking back at it now, and that's why when I have younger couples come up and talk to me, or younger guys or females, it doesn't matter. When they ask me, what's the number one thing that I wish I would have done? My number one thing is I wish I would have communicated what my goals were with my wife. The loving part is great. And then you have the life part. And I think the life part needs to be discussed as much as the loving part, because you can go out and work every single day and in your mind where you want to be and where you want your family to be, but you need to sit down and have that vision board discussion with your spouse and let them know, hey, listen, this is what I'm doing. I'm dedicating the next 3 years or the next 5 years to doing this. In 5 years, I want us to be here. And this is why I'm going like I'm going now. Instead of you just going out, picking up, packing your lunch, and you just heading out the door, and you get home whenever everything is all done.
Yeah. I think too, you have to know who you marry. I think so. You really have to ask the hard questions, and I think some questions we don't even think about to ask. And I know one for me that maybe I didn't ask was, how did you feel about family gatherings? Because you weren't a family gathering type of person when we first met. And I thought that every gathering I went to,
I needed to be there.
You needed to be there. And that was something that I wasn't used to. First of all, because he was working a lot. Yeah. But even if he wasn't working a lot, that's still not his thing, I don't think.
Well, when you're working a lot, and when you have time off, you look at time off as a way, that's recouping. That's like, I'm going to just sit at home all day in my jogging pants and t-shirts. I'm going to watch ESPN sports and relax. And that's, those are the days you need. And I think, early into our marriage, when we had so many different events that came up, even when it was my son's, practices and school events, I wasn't there. I wasn't there. And I just thought my wife understood, and she didn't. at that time, it was about what was important for me was resting, so I can get up the following day and go out and provide for my family. Yeah.
And do you still feel that same way?
I still feel that same way, but at the same time, I think I could have, when I knew our kids had events, when I knew things were going on with the family, I think I should have worked shorter days up to those events so I would be more mentally ready for those events.
Gotcha.
But at that time, I was so focused and driven that only thing mattered to me was being able to provide for my family, because when my wife and I met, I was 35 years old. And I was one of those guys that looked up like, before I know it, I'm going to be 40. And, so I wanted to set myself and my family up so in my 40s, we can just enjoy life. Mm-hmm. That was the whole goal, because I knew that time wasn't on my side and I needed to grind harder than I've ever grinded before. And looking back at it now, it paid off. But I think the number one thing is I should have communicated that more with my wife.
Yeah, yeah.
So she would understood, because I was 35, she was 28. It was a little age difference with us, so we both had different thoughts, ideas of what a marriage should be.
Yeah, yeah. But and again, that all too went again with the adjustment period. We had to adjust and learn each other and know how we were. And so, yeah.
But before we end, I don't want to get all religious on you guys, but I'm going to tell you something that really helped myself. I could easily say it helped our marriage, but I know it helped me. And finding a good, solid church, or even if you're not a religious person, having a good mentor, a person that has been there and done that, somebody who is proven, has a great track record, somebody that you trust into sharing your thoughts and aspirations with, because our church, it really, truly helped me a lot. Even to this day at 50, I'll be 52 next month. It has really helped myself out, and of course it has helped my marriage out. So
all right. Yeah, I think all marriages need to definitely keep God first. I mean, if you're a religious person, definitely that helps bring you two together, help raise the kids up. I mean, just definitely having God in place in the midst of it.
If not God, you need a mentor. You need somebody that has somebody who is proven, and you can sit down and discuss.
And so last thing I think is a conversation is not telling your business to everybody in the streets. That was something that I had to learn as a younger person. Even though I was 28 when I met him, I was very vocal with my issues that I had.
You were talking to everybody.
With my friends and some family members, and that definitely is a recipe for disaster. So even if you had a mentor that you trusted, that would be more of a person to have a conversation with than having it with your brother, mama, sister, girlfriend that is going to always take your side. Mostly.
Yeah, because they love you. They knew you before you met your spouse. So no matter what you tell them, they're going to always side with you. It's just like with me. If you're upset, I'm going to always take your side. Now, it's certain situation where I'm going to, critique it, and I may tell you things that's going to make you uncomfortable or upset. But at the end of the day, if you get my wife upset, I'm upset. I'm upset. So if you tee her off, it's a wrap. I'm already like, don't play. I'd rather for you mess with me. Don't mess with my wife now, because she good as gold. She got unconditional love for people. She loves like no other. So you piss her off, you're pissing me off. So now I can understand why your friends and your family would side with you if you went to them talking about
Right.
something I did to tee you off.
Right. And of course, we as individuals, we as flawed people that we are, we only go tell our part of the story anyway. We ain't gonna tell the whole story, most of it. We gonna say what we feel is prevalent to the conversation. And so of course a lot of times they're going to pick your side. So you have to learn. I have learned, me personally, if he does something to bother me, just to hold it to myself for about a day or so, and then we talk about it, and then we're not mad anymore. But if I went and told 2, 3, 4, 5 different people what happened, and by the time we talk about it and we good, next time I talk to that person, so what he doing? What he said?
Now
what he got said? Now you over it.
Now I'm the topic of discussion.
And now you don't want to talk about it anymore.
What Thomas did, what Tate did.
Right.
You the topic of discussion. So that can be a little tricky. And I think that's a learning lesson for my wife, and it's a learning lesson for me, because when you have friends, they're gonna always side with you. But it's great to have that person that's neutral, that's not invested with you or her as far as like on a personal level, but they can just give you the best sound relationship advice, because you're gonna need it.
And ladies and men, you cannot have a whole lot of the opposite sex as friends when you're married.
Yeah.
So I can't have a whole lot of guy friends, so I can go and talk to them about what happened with Thomas. Because a lot of times guys can play like they're your friends until it's a vulnerable moment.
They just wait in the battle box.
And vice versa for women. Women can play like they're your friends and listen to all your hardships until they can like, well, I don't even know why you still with her then.
Yeah, they just wait in the battle box. They just wait for that person to strike out so they can go in there and get their chance at bat.
Right. So we gotta be very careful when it comes to having those outside friendships.
Exactly. And what I've learned is I don't have any female friends outside of my marriage. None whatsoever. Now, 16 years ago, I thought I can have female friends.
Right. We both
But
did.
at the end of the day, it's not that you think you can have female friends. It's just about your arrogance, and it's about you not wanting to let go of your past.
Right.
And it's about you not wanting to let go of people and feel like your spouse is the only person that's in control of your happiness.
Right.
That's pretty much what it's all about. So if you got female friends, or if you're a male and you got female friends or guy friends or whatever, and if they can't come over to your house unannounced, they're not your friends. It's just the way I look at it. If I have a female friend
And I don't know about them,
and if she cannot come over to my house unannounced, or if she cannot hang out with my wife, or hang out with my wife when she's with her spouse, there's no way we can have a friendship.
yeah.
And I just realized over time that a lot of times when people do that, and I'm not judging nobody, I'm only speaking from my experience and from my knowledge. I think when people do that, it's because they don't really want to let go of all of their options. That's just coming to you guys 100% raw. I think that you don't want to let go of all of your options, but in order for your marriage to flourish, you have to let go of those options, because of those female friends or those guy friends. When you come and you talk about your spouse to them, they're going to always be on your side.
Right. And even if they didn't always be on your side, you still feel like you got them to listen to your issues, and that's not something that you need. You need to be able to work it out with the person that you're dealing with. And so I think that is definitely something people need to know going into a marriage, that as much as you may think that you can still have those outside relationships can definitely cause issues.
It can really cause issues. And so my advice to anyone that's looking at being married, anyone who's going through some issues with their marriage, or just want to see how they can take their marriage to the next level, is your spouse is your best friend. And no matter how much it hurts them, I think you guys need to always have tough communication and conversations, so that way you don't feel like you have to go outside of your marriage and speak with anyone. And I think that we have to put our ego to the side so that we can receive this information, because when your spouse is having issues with you, mainly it's about you guys together. It's about the issues that they have with you that's causing you guys as a whole not to be where you guys need to be. So she's already said she's gonna marry you, have married you, or he's already said he's gonna marry you or have married you. So you know they care about you. So if you went to that extent, which so many people are so afraid of, and you married them, you cross that threshold, the least you can do is humble yourself and listen to that person and remove your pride from that situation, because it's only going to make your marriage better.
And I think too, as we need to understand that forgiveness is something that goes along with marriage. You have to forgive on a daily basis.
You have to.
You have to. People, we got to do something that's going to aggravate each other. We're going to do something that piss each other off. We're going to do things that hurt each other's feelings. But we have to forgive.
Yeah.
So we have to be very quick to forgive and move on in marriages.
Yeah, and that's if it's not too detrimental.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
If it's something that you can sleep with, if it's something that if you can look at a situation and say, 5 years from now, this is not going to affect me, it's worth you getting over that situation. Everybody's different. What affects me might not affect you. But if it's something that you can sleep well at night and get over and know it's not going to affect you mentally,
Abusively.
or physically, because that is so vital.
Right.
That's what's important. Everyone is different. But I think the key word to it is respect and communication.
Right. I think so too.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think that's how we need to end it.
I'm not ready to go.
On respect.
I'm just getting started. I'm like Deion Sanders. I'm getting comfortable. I'm getting comfortable now.
I got things to do.
I ain't got nothing to do. I got all day.
I'm glad you do.
So
I got
listen,
things to do.
She got things to do. I ain't got nothing to do.
So I'm gonna leave y'all here with him. No, but I think it's a good note to end it on. Respect and what was it?
Respect and love.
Communication.
Respect, love, and communication.
Respect, love, and communication. That's what marriage is all about.
And put your ego to the side. Listen, dude, what you're going through is just what you're going through in that day, in that time. Tomorrow is always going to be a better day. Get over yourself. Get over your ego. Love your spouse. Love your family. Keep God first and keep this thing moving.
Because we need to see more married couples out there.
We
happy.
And if you got
married couples.
issues in your marriage, hit us up. Listen, I ain't got nothing to do.
Okay, ask him for some marriage advice, guys. Put it in the chat.
Thomas help me. Hashtag.
Yeah, he gonna start
Thomas,
a men's
help
group.
me.
We're gonna start a men's
I
group.
got you. Listen, dude, I'm gonna tell you, we've been through a lot.
Yeah.
And we still here. I'm more happy with my wife now than I've ever been in my entire marriage and life.
Right.
You can get over whatever you're going through, but you got to put your pride to the side and you got to take one for the team.